Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Steve Martin, a documentary in two pieces. And this is a new film coming your way, broken up over 2 episodes on Apple TV+. They're like an hour and 38 minutes and an hour and 35 minutes. So this is over a 3-hour documentary about comedian, actor, artist, drawer, comic strip creator, banjo player, art collecting, Steve Martin. And this particular film takes 2 very distinct looks at Steve Martin's life, with the first half, the then section of it, really digging into his childhood, his tough upbringing that made it hard for him to connect with what a family should be and the joy of having a family, and him becoming the biggest comedian ever, selling out 45,000 seat arenas to watch him do a comedy act. And then the now, where it's him now, 75 years old, with a completely different outlook on life, reflecting upon his movie career and becoming a lot more open about himself, him becoming a lot more, reserved in his approach to performing, but more open and honest in the way that he talks about himself. This film digs deep, and Morgan Neville's a fantastic documentarian. He made Won't You Be My Neighbor, which arguably is one of the best documentaries in the past 10 years, and I would argue with anybody about it, despite the fact that it did not even get nominated for Best Documentary at the Academy Awards. But this film is such an interesting, insightful deconstruction of Steve Martin's career. The first half of this documentary is edited quicker. It has a lot more energy. It captures the mania that was Steve Martin at the time, his completely unhinged, just improvised act. And then there's much more reserved, introspective approach to the second half of the documentary that captures Martin now. It's very interesting finding a film that reflects in its pacing, its editing, and its overall atmosphere, the different aspects of its subject's life. And I think that was a bold move in the way that they did this, and it's that much more intriguing. Steve Martin lets it all out there in this film, and it's so engrossing. This is an incredible character study of a human being. And kudos to Steve Martin for letting himself be opened up in this way. Because you don't really, especially when it's a documentary with the person, you don't generally get to see something this brutally honest. And it's not like he's like, these are the darkest things about my life. It's him being completely honest and open, because there's moments in his life through his big time where he was just out there. Everybody knew who he was, where he was completely shut off. Intimately and personally, you capture the loneliness. There's just so many great commentators, especially in the second part of this film, where he's talking to Jerry Seinfeld. You get to see him sitting down with Martin Short, planning out their act together. You get to see all the different aspects of Steve Martin, how he evolved over the course of his life. And there's deeply emotional moments, him reflecting upon his relationship with his family, especially his father. This is a poignant, impactful, engaging, and just overall just engrossing cinematic experience. And this does not feel like 3 hours. This blows by, just bringing you in. And just the way that these 2 parts come together to paint a full portrait of who Steve Martin is, talking about his failures, his insecurities, expressing that where that mania came from that made him such a big star in comedy, the struggle of doing it for 15 years until it finally became popular, and then him completely walking away, knowing that it was time for him to reinvent himself. And he's done that so many times. He's a bit of an enigma, despite the fact that so many people know who Steve Martin is. But really getting to understand his evolution in the second part of this film adds so much depth and resonance to just the experience of the human condition and him finding his way to becoming a parent after never completely understanding what it really meant to have a family. And there's just so many incredible moments. And let's not forget, this film's absolutely hilarious, because he is. And just getting to see his experience, I just had an absolute blast with this film. And it's more than just a fun time. It's more than just an informational documentary. This is an incredible, incredible character study, and I loved every second of it. But those are my thoughts on Steve Martin, a documentary in 2 pieces. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.